Hey everyone, Sky here to discuss Creed 2, starring Michael B. Jordan, Sylvester Stallone, Tessa Thompson, Felicia Rashad, Florian Munteanu, forgive me if I said that wrong, and Dolph Lundgren, and directed by Stephen Caple Jr. Now, I have seen this movie twice, and I'm kind of glad I did because I got some good idea of what this movie is supposed to be, even though it's the same movie again and again. But let's get right into this, shall we? Ivan Drago, returned by Dolph Lundgren, has been banned from coming back to Russia and trains his son Victor, played by real-life fighter Florian Munteanu, forgive me if I said that wrong, to be as big and as bad as his father as a boxer. And I like where we are shown he's a tough fighter like his father, and that opening sequence was for what we saw in Rocky IV versus we're about to see in the term of events of this movie. It's been at least 3 years, from what I'm understanding, since Adonis Johnson Creed's return by Michael B. Jordan's fight with Ricky Conlon, and Adonis fights Danny's stuntman Wheeler, who was in the last film, and as he steals Adonis's locker in the last film, and he takes him down with a knockout. And I like that he gets his locker back after how he lost it in the gym. Tony Little Duke Burton owns, and remember, this is the same Duke from the Rocky movies, but the Little Duke from this series, who's the son of Duke, who trained his father in Rocky. Revenge is the best dish served cold, and the stuntman got it badly. And I really like this scene. Adonis buys a wedding ring to Bianca, returned by Tessa Thompson, and shows his mentor Rocky Balboa, returned by Sylvester Stallone. And we get a callback to Rocky II, where he tells Adonis how he proposed to Adrian at the zoo, but we don't get that image here, which thank God for that. What we do get is Adonis is proposing to Bianca when she has her hearing aid off and doesn't hear any of it. And I really enjoyed these actors portraying the characters. They're playing it in the way they're playing the characters, and it makes me like the characters even more last time than I did this. I mean, more both times, I should rephrase that. Rocky tries to call Robert and hangs up every time he gets to the phone, or before he gets to the phone, let me rephrase that, which did feel sad, and I felt very bad for Rocky during those scenes, and that's how much I care, particularly since he gets a visit from Ivan Drago and his son at the restaurant that Rocky owned in the last two movies. And Adonis has no choice but to take the fight to Ivan's son Victor, which will lead to this movie's plot. And it felt kind of hard to understand Dolph Lundgren's English during that scene. It's kind of hard to understand him in that scene. Adonis and Bianca move to Los Angeles together to buy a place and visits Mary Ann Creed, returned by Felicia Rashad, to meet the future Mrs. Johnson's Creed for dinner. And they find out later in the next scene where we find out Bianca's pregnant. And it felt so affectionate that both she and Adonis decide to have a family. It was cute, and I really liked their chemistry together. Adonis and Little Dukes get started training for the Creed versus Drago fight round 2. The reason I'm going to start right there is because in Rocky IV, there was Apollo Creed versus Ivan Drago. So I'm making this round 2 for that. And after Rocky doesn't agree to help Adonis train that fight, and I really like the images when Creed and Drago are training, it felt very breathtaking. Rocky watches the legendary Creed versus Drago round 2 fight, and I can feel his heartbreak when Adonis gets brutally beat up by Victor Drago. And the good thing is Drago is disqualified after how brutal the fight is, and he kept going after Creed was down. And Rocky visiting Adonis later at the hospital, and the scene was very heartbreaking when he tries to tell him how sorry he was for not helping him out. Very touching scene. But when Victor hits Adonis in the ribs, and Adonis keeps going, it's very brutal of that. I mean, I'm just going to say it now. That fight was just so freaking brutal. Victor got himself and his father back to Russia with Ivan's ex-wife slash Victor's mother, Ludmila, returned by Brigitte Nielsen, and Victor doesn't forget, so he doesn't forgive either Russia or his mother after she left them. And I thought, boo-hoo, get over it, Victor. But honestly, I liked the way it was shot. Marianne writes to Rocky he still needs you and shows a picture of his baby before it's born in Bianca's stomach. And Adonis and Rocky talk and forgive, and Rocky tells Adonis about his mistake of not being there for his grandson's birth. And they forgive each other and sees Adonis' new baby girl. And Rocky is the godfather of this baby. I love that scene. I thought it was adorable, in my opinion. Even though for a boxing movie, sure. Adonis takes the kid to his own gym and punches the punching bag. And I'm talking about the baby, by the way. And the kid understands his frustration over the fight, even though she doesn't talk. She's newly born. And I think that was rather a beautiful moment, and I love that scene. And same with when Adonis challenges Victor for a Creed versus Drago fight. Round 3, I must say. And Adonis and Bianca talk about it, so they take it to Russia, like the end of Rocky 4. Is this sounding familiar? I think so. Rocky trains Adonis in a sparring area in New Mexico, and tires punching and pound the ground with a tool before the final fight begins, and making sure that he doesn't get hurt in the ribs again. And I really enjoyed that sequence. The Creed vs. Drago round 3 fight is a really great fight. I'm gonna just say it now, but very freaking brutal. And Adonis keeps fighting, and before the fight's over, Ludmila, along with Russia, takes off from the fight, and Victor loses, and Adonis wins once again. Such a brutal but great fight. Adonis and Bianca visit the grave where Apollo was buried, and Rocky goes to Canada to visit Robert, returned by, here it comes, Milo Ventimiglia. Forgive me if I said that wrong. Has a son named Logan, and that is a beautiful ending. I was really surprised to see Milo back in this role after Rocky Balboa. I'm not gonna lie, I was really shocked. Now it's time for the rating. I'll give this movie a 8.6 out of 10. Just as good as the first Creed, but Rocky 1 is much better by a long shot. And there's some beautiful shots, scenes, and I really enjoy these characters as much as the second time as I did the first, and in the original Rocky movie, even though not all of them are here, but I have fun with this movie. I really was glad I went and saw this twice, to be quite fair. So I'd like to thank you guys for joining me for this entire Rocky series, and until next time, hey yo, Paulie, turn off the camera!